Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. Now, let's go back to a Tuesday morning in Redwood Heights. What if the most tragic secrets of a town weren't buried by time, but uncovered by an unlikely hero? What if the echoes of a lost child's cry could still be heard, not by human ears, but by the loyal heart of a dog? Today we unravel a story so haunting, so full of twists, it will make you believe in the power of a voice that refuses to be silenced. The morning sun, usually a beacon of warmth, felt strangely heavy over Redwood Heights Elementary. Laughter still spilled from the playground, mingling with the comforting scent of Ms. Johnson's collard greens. But beneath it all, an ancient grief stirred. Ms. Evelyn Reed, our beloved fifth-grade teacher, felt it, a subtle shift in the air, a whisper of something unsettled that prickled her skin. Officer David Jefferson walked with Rocky, our magnificent black Labrador, the pride of our school's new community safety program. Rocky, usually a playful whirl of energy, suddenly froze. His sleek fur bristled, and a low, almost imperceptible growl rumbled deep in his chest. He pulled, not playfully, but with an urgent, desperate force, dragging Officer Jefferson towards the forgotten edge of the playground near an old, unused storage shed. A place where secrets, once buried, were meant to stay. Rocky began to dig. Frantically. His powerful paws tore at the dry earth, sending clumps flying. His barks, no longer joyful, turned sharp, urgent, cutting through the morning air like a cold blade. In seconds, the joyful sounds of recess died, swings froze mid-air, a lunchbox clattered, and a teacher's coffee cup slipped from her grasp. Every eye, wide with a mixture of confusion and dread, turned to Rocky. He barked again, a guttural, desperate sound, as if pleading with the very ground beneath him. Officer Jefferson rushed forward, a confused frown creasing his brow. "Rocky, no, leave it!" But the dog was relentless, his whines escalating into mournful cries as he continued to tear at the earth. And then the dirt shifted, revealing a glimpse of something small, something faded, something undeniably purple. A child's handmade hair ribbon, with a small, intricately embroidered A, the kind that hadn't been seen in Redwood Heights for over 7 long, agonizing years. A collective gasp echoed across the playground, a wave of cold realization washing over us all. In the staff lounge, a suffocating hush fell. Principal Lena Mayweather, her face pale, gently placed the ribbon on a napkin atop the conference table. Her voice, usually so steady, was barely a whisper. "You don't think this belongs to her, do you?" It was the unspoken fear of Nia Jones, the bright-eyed 6-year-old with a love for purple, who had vanished without a trace from these very school grounds 7 years ago. The case went cold, a festering wound in the heart of our community. We had buried our pain, just as that ribbon had been buried. But Rocky was now digging up more than just dirt. He was unearthing a truth no one wanted to remember. Officer Jefferson cordoned off the area, his face grim. Recess was cut short, but Rocky wouldn't leave the spot. His body remained rigid, ears focused forward, almost vibrating with an unseen intensity. "Has he ever reacted like this?" Principal Mayweather asked, her voice laced with dread. "Never," Jefferson replied, his voice low. "He's trained for explosives. This is different." He turned to a colleague. "Contact forensics." Quietly, a ghost from the past was rising, and Rocky was its undeniable 4-legged messenger. Meanwhile, in Miss Reed's classroom, room 3C, the atmosphere was heavy, thick with unspoken questions. Brielle, a quiet first-grader, clutched her K9 coloring book. Her eyes, wide and unnervingly perceptive, met Miss Reed's. "Is that dog looking for Nia?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. A chill ran down Miss Reed's spine. "Why do you say that, Brielle?" "Because my grandma said a girl disappeared here, and I saw her name once, on the back of a tile behind the shed. It said, 'Nia was here.'" Brielle's innocent words were a chilling confirmation, a whisper from the past, hinting at a truth only children and animals seemed to perceive. A truth that adults, for 7 years, had tragically overlooked. The sun dipped lower, casting long, mournful Rocky over the dig site. An unmarked forensic van arrived, its silent presence a grim confirmation of the day's unraveling horror. Detective Miles Thornton, a seasoned veteran from out of town, took one look at the faded purple ribbon, a deep sigh escaping his lips. "I remember this case," he whispered, his voice heavy with the weight of old failures. "We never closed it. We never stopped wondering. For our community, that ribbon was more than fabric. It was a symbol of prolonged agony, a silent scream finally heard." As Thornton stepped closer, Rocky let out a low growl, his eyes fixed on the disturbed earth, a silent communication no human could replicate. "Show us," Thornton said softly, kneeling beside the magnificent Labrador. Rocky stepped back slightly, then began pawing just a few inches deeper, his movements precise, purposeful, as if guided by an invisible hand. Moments later, the glint of metal appeared, a heart-shaped locket, mud-covered, bent, but still clearly engraved, "To Nia with love, Mama." Thornton cradled it, the name on the locket finally giving voice to the fading memory that haunted Redwood Heights. Behind the yellow tape, teachers watched, their faces etched with a mixture of dread and dawning hope. Miss Dorothy May, an older teacher, remembered Nia vividly. "She used to play right here," she murmured, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. "How could we have missed this?" It was a stark reminder of the limitations of human perception, a silent accusation against the system that had failed. The formal searches had been exhaustive, yet Rocky, with a simple instinct, had found what countless professionals could not. In the front office, Principal Mayweather called an emergency staff meeting. "No speculation," she insisted, her voice tight with tension. But whispers rippled through the room. She disappeared during school hours. Didn't they search everywhere? No one had answers. Yet Rocky's relentless focus was stirring long-forgotten questions, a deep unease that pulsed through the very walls of the school, threatening to tear apart the fragile peace. Outside, the forensic team expanded the dig site, meticulously sifting through the earth. With each layer of dirt removed, more fragments appeared, rusted buttons, scraps of purple fabric, a crumbling school ID. Officer Jefferson had to turn away, a pained look on his face. "That poor child," he muttered, the words raw with emotion. Rocky sat a few feet back, tail curled, eyes sharp. He wasn't barking now, just watching, a silent sentinel of unspoken truths. "Has Rocky ever found human remains before?" Thornton asked, his voice low. "Only once," Jefferson replied. "Overseas, after a mudslide in Haiti. He stayed with the body until we dug it up." Thornton nodded, a chilling certainty settling in. "He's not done here. He's connected to something more profound." By afternoon, news of the discovery had spread like wildfire through Redwood Heights. The quiet town was now buzzing with a mixture of terror and a fragile hope. Meanwhile, in Ms. Reed's classroom, Brielle was drawing again, her small hand moving with an almost otherworldly certainty. "It's Nia," she whispered, sketching a girl surrounded by delicate butterflies. "She was under the ground, but the dog knows. The dog remembers." Mrs. Reed knelt beside her, a shiver running down her spine. "Brielle, how do you know about Nia?" Brielle looked up, her eyes unnervingly direct. "Dreamed about her. She said she couldn't breathe, that her mouth was full of dirt. But then she said someone was coming. Someone with fur and fire in his voice." Miss Reed's skin prickled. "Rocky." This added a chilling, mystical layer, suggesting a connection beyond the physical, a voice from the silenced, hinting that Nia's spirit lingered, desperate to be heard. It reinforced the notion that hope can appear in the most unexpected forms, even through the instincts of a loyal dog and the dreams of an innocent child. That night, Detective Thornton stared at Nia Jones's old case file. The paper, yellowed and brittle, seemed to mock him with its final damning words. "Case suspended. Insufficient evidence." How had they missed that spot? The question burned in his mind, highlighting the systemic failures, the overlooked details, the human tendency to dismiss what doesn't fit neatly into logic. At the school, Officer Jefferson stood with Principal Mayweather under the dim security lights, the air thick with unspoken tension. "Why was that corner never thoroughly searched?" Jefferson pressed, his voice tight with frustration. Principal Mayweather hesitated, her brow furrowed. "I don't know. I wasn't principal back then. But records show the grounds were swept multiple times. Did anyone else have access to the maintenance shed besides the janitor?" "Just a few staff," she said quietly, "including Mr. Silas Green." Jefferson frowned. "Still here?" "No, he retired early, about 6 years ago." "Do you have a current address?" "HR should. Why?" Jefferson glanced at the growing pile of evidence bags, a grim determination setting in. "Because we're going to talk to him again." That evening, news vans lined the fence, their bright lights cutting through the darkness. Reporters speculated wildly, weaving narratives that fed the town's growing panic. Yet the only one who had truly found anything remained silent, a testament to his quiet purpose. Rocky stood near Officer Jefferson's patrol car, watching the fading light with ears perked, a quiet sentinel. And then, a strange, almost magical thing happened. Lily, a first grader, too young to have known Nia, walked past the site. She stopped, pulled free from her mother's hand, and gently placed her tiny hand on Rocky's head. "I had a dream," she said quietly. "She told me to say thank you." Officer Jefferson looked at her, startled, his breath caught in his throat. "Who told you that, sweetie?" Lily smiled softly. "The girl with the purple ribbon." This emphasized the profound importance of listening not just to words but to intuition, to children, and to those who often go unheard, reminding us that sometimes the purest truths come from the most innocent sources. Redwood Heights was officially losing its quiet. The silence of fear was replaced by a buzzing anxiety. Every conversation ended in a whisper. Who buried Nia? At the precinct, Thornton stared at the HR records. Silas Green, former assistant janitor, retired April 28, 2017, 11 days after Nia disappeared. One yellow sticky note read, "Green was acting strange, cried in the boiler room, said he couldn't handle the noise anymore." Thornton grabbed his keys, a new lead igniting a flicker of hope in the darkness. By mid-morning, Officer Jefferson and Rocky were back at the school. The dig site was covered, but an unsettling energy still hung in the air, a phantom presence. Rocky sniffed around the base of the storage shed, his body tensing, then sat, Jefferson's brow furrowed. "You're telling me something's under here too, aren't you?" The Labrador barked, loud, urgent, an undeniable command. Jefferson radioed dispatch. "Ground-penetrating radar behind the shed, priority." In room 3C, Brielle was drawing again. Miss Reed froze, seeing the sketch, Nia, but not alone. Beside her, a tall figure in a janitor's uniform. The face was blank, a terrifying void, but in his hand, a keyring. And beneath the drawing, Brielle had written in shaky, childlike letters, "He locked her in and threw away the key." This was the most shocking twist. Brielle's chilling drawing, connecting the dots in a way no adult could have imagined. It highlighted the chilling vulnerability of children and the potential for evil to hide in plain sight, even within the seemingly safe confines of a school. Detective Thornton pulled into a small, dilapidated home on the outskirts of Redwood Heights. Silas Green opened the door, his eyes wide and fearful, as if he'd been expecting this moment for 7 long years. "Mr. Green," Thornton said, flashing his badge, "I'd like to ask you some questions about Nia Jones." Green trembled. "Knew this day would come," he whispered, his voice raspy with age and regret. Inside, Green sat, his gaze fixed on a dusty mantle, a haunted look in his eyes. "This wasn't about evidence," Thornton said, his voice firm but empathetic. "This was about truth. You were there the day she disappeared, yes? You were one of the last people to see her, yes? Why didn't you say anything?" Green leaned forward, his face wrinkling with a deep, sorrowful sigh. "Because I didn't know she was gone. Not until it was too late." He took a long, shaky breath. "She used to sneak behind the shed to draw, said it was the only quiet place. That day I saw her go back there. I heard something, a scream maybe. I ran around, but she was gone. I looked, God knows I looked, but no one believed me. They said I made it up to cover my tracks. So I shut up. I left." "Why didn't you tell the police what you heard?" Thornton pressed, his gaze unwavering. "Because I was afraid," Green whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "Afraid they'd blame me, and because someone told me to forget it." "Who?" Thornton demanded. Green looked up, his eyes wide and full of terror. "I don't know his name. He said he was a visitor from the district office, said to let it go." Thornton felt the hairs on his arms rise. A chilling premonition. This evoked deep empathy for Silas Green, a man trapped by fear and a system that failed to believe him. It spoke volumes about the experience of being silenced or dismissed, a common theme for our community. Back at the school, the radar team confirmed a metal object 14 inches deep behind the shed. Rocky sat nearby, watching intently, his body a picture of silent anticipation. When the team dug it up, it was an old lunchbox, rusted shut, its hinges fused with time. Inside, a set of broken keys and a faded photo. A man in a gray-collared shirt, smiling next to a maintenance van. No school ID, just a casual, unsettling smile. The same face Brielle had sketched days ago. This was the terrifying reveal. A face that haunted a child's dreams, now appearing in cold reality. That night, Miss Reed pulled out her old yearbook from 2017, its pages crisp with memories. She flipped through until she reached the staff and volunteers section, and there he was, listed as IT consultant, temporary, Asher. No last name. "Why would an IT guy be near the shed during recess?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Thornton scanned the photo. No official from the district named Asher, but chillingly, similar-looking men, same first name, no last name, had been logged at 3 other schools in the region, all connected to missing children cases that had gone cold at the same time. The mystery deepened, revealing a sinister, widespread pattern. Little Brielle lay in bed, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. She's still scared, she told her mom, her voice a tiny whisper. She doesn't want to be alone. Her mom, heartbroken, smoothed her daughter's hair. Honey, Nia is with the angels now. Brielle shook her head slowly. No, Mommy, she's waiting for the man with the fire voice, the one who barked loud enough for God to hear. The town of Redwood Heights was now buzzing with a palpable fear. Asher, no last name, no trace. Thornton stared at the enhanced photo. He was disturbingly average, the kind of face you'd never remember. No national database hits, no criminal record, nothing. He was a ghost. Except the children remembered him. In a secured interview room, Brielle calmly described the man. He always had a lanyard with no name and he smelled like peppermint. Peppermint, the counselor repeated, trying to process the strange detail. Like old gum. And he wore sneakers with little blue lightning bolts. He said they made him fast. Thornton leaned forward, his gaze fixed on the little girl. Did he ever talk to you? Brielle hesitated, her eyes flickering to her drawing. He told me I had a pretty voice and that I should come help him carry boxes one day. But Rocky barked before I could say yes. He scared him away. Miss Reed's hands tightened in her lap, a wave of cold fear washing over her. What did the man do when Rocky barked? Brielle looked down at her drawing. He looked angry, but only for a second. Then he smiled and left. Rocky's bravery shone through, a silent guardian preventing another tragedy, a true hero in a world of unseen threats. Officer Jefferson and Rocky walked the perimeter of Redwood Heights Elementary for what felt like the 10th time that week, the air thick with unresolved tension. Rocky, Jefferson muttered, his voice barely audible. I swear you're sniffing out ghosts now. But the Labrador stopped abruptly near the shed, his body tensing. He barked once, a low, deliberate woof, then began pacing, not in circles but in a straight line, over and over, from the shed to the teacher's parking lot. What are you doing, bud? Jefferson watched, a sudden chilling realization dawning. A path. Rocky was retracing steps. He was showing them the way to something hidden, something vital. Principal Mayweather reviewed old security footage for Thornton. We need every record from April 2017, Thornton said, his voice firm. She handed him a faded printout, an invoice from a company called WhisperNet Tech, signed Asher P., no last name. Never heard of it, she said, shaking her head. Thornton's eyes narrowed, a cold sense of dread tightening his chest. The breadcrumbs were leading somewhere. That evening, the state cybercrime division traced WhisperNet Tech to a virtual mailbox in Nevada, a ghost company likely used for temporary contracts. The phone number was disconnected, the EIN was bogus, but the mailing record showed that the business had been linked to at least 4 schools across 2 states. Every school had a cold case. Every school had a missing child. And now, for the first time, they had a terrifying pattern. Meanwhile, Rocky pulled Jefferson to a sewer grate. Hidden beneath debris, a small, bent, laminated visitor ID. Asher Price. No company, just field maintenance. Rocky sat, staring, his gaze fixed on the badge, a silent confirmation. We've got him, Jefferson whispered, his voice filled with a mixture of triumph and grim satisfaction. Thornton added the name to the database. Finally, a partial match surfaced. An Asher Price had applied for a business license 10 years ago in Georgia. The address led to an abandoned building, a dead end. But the name connected to one more thing. A police report filed in 2013. A woman had called about a man hanging around her daughter's elementary school, offering computer help. The man left before police arrived, no charges filed. But the woman's description was chillingly precise. Peppermint breath, blue sneakers, a collared shirt, and a wide smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The FBI officially joined the case by the end of the day. The town didn't know the full story yet, but they knew enough. Parents were scared, teachers were rattled, and every hallway conversation ended in a whisper. Do you think he's still out there? But the only one who didn't seem afraid was Rocky. At night, he'd lie quietly outside the school doors, his eyes scanning the darkness, waiting. He was our guardian, our silent protector. In her bedroom, Brielle had a new drawing on her wall. It was a picture of Nia smiling this time, no longer beneath the ground, but bathed in ethereal light. Next to her was Rocky, his mouth open, mid-bark, like a powerful roar, and above them both were the words Brielle had written carefully in crayon. Some voices are louder than silence. The sun hadn't even risen when Detective Thornton's phone buzzed on his nightstand. Unknown number. He picked it up. Detective Thornton? The voice was crisp, female, federal. This is Special Agent Maya Rodriguez with the FBI. I'm leading the Price investigation now. I need you to meet me at Redwood Heights Elementary and bring the badge. Thornton was already sitting up, adrenaline coursing through him. You found something? I'll explain when you get here, Agent Rodriguez replied, her voice firm. But I'll tell you this now. The man you're chasing isn't just a ghost. He's a predator who's been moving through school districts for over a decade, and thanks to your canine, we may finally have a way to stop him. At the school, the air was unusually still. The morning fog hung low over the playground, like a lingering secret. Agent Rodriguez stood by the flagpole, a laptop open on the hood of her unmarked SUV. She motioned Thornton over and spun the screen toward him. We found this on an encrypted message board, a known hangout for child exploitation networks. The username matched an old domain, registered under Price's Ghost Company. We traced a login from a public library Wi-Fi 2 towns over last night. Thornton's eyes narrowed, a grim realization settling in. He's nearby. Rodriguez nodded grimly. We believe he's circling, watching. Thornton looked toward the school building, a cold dread seeping into him. He's not done. Inside room 3C, Brielle stared out the window with her sketchpad in her lap. Miss Reed was reading from a picture book, but Brielle wasn't listening. She was watching the trees, waiting. Because last night, in a dream, Nia had spoken again. He's coming back. Nia had whispered, her voice faint but clear. He lost something, and he wants it. At recess, Officer Jefferson kept Rocky close, his grip on the leash firm. The Labrador was unusually tense, not playful, not calm. He sniffed the air, ears twitching, eyes scanning the perimeter. Then he pulled hard. Easy, Rocky, Jefferson grunted, struggling to hold him. But Rocky bolted toward the side gate, the one used for deliveries. Standing just outside the chain-link fence was a man, baseball cap pulled low, gray hoodie, head down. Too calm, too familiar. Jefferson's instincts, honed by years of police work, and Rocky's own unwavering focus, kicked in. "Hey!" he shouted, starting to run. The man turned, made brief eye contact, a flicker of something dark and sinister in his eyes, then vanished down the alley, a phantom disappearing into the urban landscape. It took 6 officers and a drone unit to search the area, but the man had disappeared like vapor. No car, no footprints, no name. But Rocky kept tracking, relentless, unwavering, all the way to a drainage culvert behind the school, where the leaves had been disturbed recently. Inside, tucked into the damp dirt, they found a sealed envelope. No address. Just a sticky note. Tell the dog to stay out of my business. A chilling message, a direct threat. That afternoon a lockdown was quietly ordered, not full scale, just precautionary. The kids didn't notice, happy with their extended indoor playtime. Teachers were told it was a training drill, but Principal Mayweather knew better. She gathered the staff behind closed doors and laid it out, her voice grave. We're dealing with someone who doesn't leave evidence. Someone who's been 5 steps ahead of law enforcement for years. But he made a mistake. He came back. Mrs. Reed raised her hand, her face pale. Why? Because of the dog, Thornton said from the doorway, walking in, his gaze steady. And because he left something behind 7 years ago, something he wants. Brielle's mom didn't hesitate. She pulled her daughter from school that afternoon and drove straight to the station. I don't know what's going on, she told the officers, her voice trembling, but Brielle's drawings. They're too detailed, too real. Brielle sat across from Agent Rodriguez, coloring quietly, seemingly unfazed by the gravity of the situation. Then she spoke, her voice clear and unwavering. He keeps coming back because of the necklace. Everyone in the room froze, a collective gasp. What necklace, sweetie? Agent Rodriguez asked gently, her voice barely a whisper. Brielle didn't look up from her drawing. The one Nia buried? The one with the secret inside? They raced to the evidence lab, their hearts pounding with a desperate hope. The locket they had found next to Nia's purple ribbon had been sent for processing but hadn't been opened. Thornton, with gloved hands, pried it open carefully. Inside, not a photo, but a tiny SD card, hidden beneath the backing. A secret nestled within a secret. They slid it into the forensic laptop. It opened to one file. A video. The room fell silent, the only sound the faint hum of the computer as it played. A hidden camera, grainy footage. A young girl, Nia, crying quietly in a small, windowless room. And then, a man stepped into frame, His face, the same man in the sketch, in the photo. The one with the laminated badge and peppermint breath. Asher Price. Only this time, they had it on tape. The ultimate breakthrough. Agent Rodriguez didn't wait. She called in a national bolo, be on the lookout. Facial recognition databases were updated immediately. The footage, a horrifying testament to a hidden crime, was encrypted and handed directly to the Department of Justice. For the first time, they had proof. Not just suspicion, not just stories. They had a name, a face, a crime. And the tip that cracked it, a dog's bark. Outside the station, reporters swarmed, clamoring for answers. Thornton declined comment, his face unreadable. But as he walked back to his car, he passed Rocky, lying calmly in the grass, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around him. The Labrador looked up at him, tail thumping once, a soft, rhythmic beat. "You did good, partner," Thornton whispered, scratching behind Rocky's ears. "You didn't just find a clue, you found her voice." This powerful conclusion reinforces that even the most meticulous predators can be undone by the smallest details, especially when a relentless force like Rocky is on their trail. The final line about Rocky finding her voice is incredibly powerful for our audience, echoing the theme of justice for the voiceless. The story of Nia Jones and Rocky is a testament to the power of perseverance, the resilience of a community, and the undeniable truth that some voices, though silent, can never truly be forgotten. It reminds us that even when the world seems to turn a deaf ear, there are guardians, both human and animal, who stand ready to fight for justice and ensure that every voice is heard. If Nia's story, brought to light by the incredible Rocky, resonated with you, if it stirred something deep inside about fighting for what's right, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message of hope and courage. And most importantly, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell. We're committed to bringing you more powerful stories of ordinary heroes, extraordinary deeds, and the unseen battles fought for justice. Your support helps us amplify these crucial voices. What other stories of unwavering loyalty and courage do you think deserve to be told? Let us know in the comments below. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep listening for those quiet voices that deserve to be heard.